Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at a pretty old game, one that I had back in my school days, Dark Legions. It is done by SSI and it was developed by Silicon Knights, then what done the original Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, and of course Eternal Darkness. They also did X-Men Destiny, but that's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine if I'm honest, so yay. So this was released on MS-DOS only, and I got it back in the day, big box version. Lent it to a mate, never got it back. Beautiful, that's the way it always goes as a kid. Yeah. So basically it's kind of a strategy game with an action component to it. So basically there's no story, you just assign setting out points to each team, and the computer goes, or the other human player, because you can do multiplayer on the same screen, buys creatures using those points, arranges them on the field, and then you have like a sort of chess match where you're moving them about, but as soon as they move onto the same square, it initiates sort of an overhead action camera angle where you have to go around and you've got like 2 or 3 attacks per unit. It's really nicely done. It's obviously very simple. Back in the day, I mean, it did come out in '94. So back in the day, it wasn't really that usual to have like a huge overarching sort of story for these sort of games like you might find today. In this, it was just like, yeah, we'll assemble an army of cool creatures, and you know, you'll go on and do your shit on your board, and that's what you did. They're all really well animated. They all have like separate animations for just moving about the place. Their combat animations are obviously different. They die different ways. Like the troll turns to stone once he's dead. Others just sort of like burst into flame, while others just die and fall on the floor in a big red goopy pile of blood, which is lovely. One thing I will say is, if you do want to try it, it is available on GOG and Steam. Don't know about the Steam version. It was an MS-DOS game originally. I didn't see a DOS box pop up though, so I would probably go to GOG just in case, because sometimes you can buy a game on Steam and have like hell getting it running when you could have just got it on GOG and it would have been fine. The patching process for Fallout London comes to mind, but we're not talking about that. So one thing you have to realise is back in 1994, human hands were very different. As a result, this game, the controls for the combat section, you can calibrate a joypad or a joystick to it, which I would highly recommend. But as it happens, player 1 controls is WAD, sounds reasonable so far, X, that's your movement controls, and then in the middle of that, S, that's one of your attack buttons, and then space is the other one. So, because my brain has been programmed with first-person and third-person shooters for the last God knows how many decades, it's very difficult for me to move down without hitting attack. And this is a problem because you do have like a power bar that goes back up, which represents how many, how much you can attack basically. It runs down, you need to wait for it to refill. Yes, human hands back in the 90s, not quite what they are today. But you can't redefine the keys, but as I said, you can set up the joystick, so you know, there's that. The footage you're seeing is me on the keys because I didn't bother setting up the joystick and wanted to show you the authentic accidentally attacking action from the game. There's not too much to say about it. You do get a few units with some cool moves, like you get conjurers that can like conjure in slightly less powerful versions of creatures. So, you know, you can like give yourself reinforcements, but they do disappear once the conjurer gets killed. The aim of the game is to kill off one unit, and you select which one that is, and they're known as the Orb Keeper. And the Orb Keeper is kind of like the king in chess, so if he goes down, you're done, basically. You do have the facility to buy traps, which you can place on the board like creatures, and obviously if an enemy wanders into a trap, it gets the effect of it. There's huge range of them actually, they did really well. You have like teleportation traps, which you just get teleported somewhere else, which I think you'll see in the footage. And also fire traps, turn to stone traps, slowing traps, tons of them. There's also rings that you can buy to give to your creatures that will buff them. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the entirety of the game. Where the real sort of replayability comes, I mean, I've done in the footage, I've done a tiny map and limited it to 500 points. 1000 is the sort of default amount of points. So I've done a relatively small scale one because I wanted to get into the action and not just have you watch, me move up the field for about 5 turns before I saw anybody. You can go stupid amounts. There are 16 characters across the board that you can purchase, and you can buy multiples of them. So it's really nice. Like I had in this game I played, I had my Conjurer be my Orb Keeper, and I set them up behind a wall of orcs, and then the stronger ones went down the field and started attacking. And for the most part went well. Demon OP, oh yes, because it's a demon. What do you want? There are some, I think they're wraiths, I can't remember. But there are ones that are actually invisible to certain units, so like not all units can see them. Not all units can see traps either, so you've got to watch out for that. That does make the combat a little bit more testing when they're invisible, but it is possible, as you see, especially if you've got a character with a range attack. That's, I mean, it's not super sneaky or anything. It will come pretty much at you, so if you're hitting it, you will continue hitting it until it gets closer, and then you can sort of kite it off in a certain direction and kind of guess where it is. So it's not rocket science to work it out, which is nice because that could be really fucking frustrating. There are certain characters that can do actions in the sort of game board map rather than the action map as well. Like I say, the Conjurer can conjure people in, and there are spells that you can cast as well from the different magical characters. So that's Dark Legions. It was an absolute blast from my past. I think it was like £4 on GOG. So if you like the look of it, or perhaps you played it yourself in your younger days like me and ill-advisedly lent it to someone called Matt and never got it back. Thanks, Matt, wherever you are. Hope someone steals something of yours. But I'm not bitter, no. But yeah, so it's an interesting one because it's by SSI. It's from Silicon Knights. These were names that, although Silicon Knights perhaps outside of Blood Omen weren't too integral to my youth, I think it would have been if I'd had the GameCube back then as well. I have obviously a GameCube now, and I have played Eternal Darkness, and it's fucking fantastic. I would recommend that to anybody. But SSI were my jam back in the day with the gold box games. I've actually been going through and picking up a lot of the silver box ones that I missed out on. Stuff like Shadow Sorcerer. I rebought Heroes of the Lance. I haven't played it on Amiga. I knew what I was getting into, and it hasn't gotten any better, unfortunately. In fact, it's gotten worse because I didn't read the manual and couldn't work out how to work it. So, that's my fault. There's a few I still need to pick up. I picked up the Ravenloft ones as well. I was going to do a video on one of those, but I got stuck with a trapdoor right at the start of it, so I was like, oh shit, this is going to be uninteresting. Watch me wander around a trapdoor for a half hour. So I will probably filter those through and put some more sort of old school D&D reviews out, because it's like, that was my jam back in the day, and a lot of these I saw advertising for and never got the chance to play them. So things like Hillsfire, I remember back when I was a small boy programming my own version of Hillsfire on my Spectrum in BASIC, just as a text game. Yeah, so I thought, right, well, no idea where I can buy that from. I'm a child, I don't have any money, so I'm going to make my own version. Thank you very much. BASIC. I used to love BASIC. Breaking the programs, you can fuck around with them. It was cool. Dad was highly offended when I put sexual content in at the age of 7. It's a Temple of Terror or something. Oh yes, I was a pervert even back then. Well, anyway, guys, that's about all from me from this week. I've gone on a massive ramble at the end there. I actually had to do this early because my wife has just come down with the coof. So if I get it, I'm probably not going to be wanting to record, and it might destroy my voice and stuff. So I thought I'd get this out of the way early and all done. So if I need to spend days in bed, I can, basically. I am keeping away from her. Gives me a good excuse to paint my world eaters, but there you go. And trying to stay sort of a little bit quarantined in my sweaty room. It is fucking hot. It's like 29 degrees today, which in England is fucking awful. And I've got the fans off right now because obviously I'm recording and the door is shut, so I am trying not to catch COVID. So yeah, it's a bit sweaty at the moment, so I think I'll leave it there and get the fans back on, and a bit of relief for me. Anyway guys, take it easy and I'll catch you next time.